Just need to get the range right there. Man, this game is easy. Hey guys, welcome to episode number 5 of the Australian Poker Mindset. My name is Brendon Ruby, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the top 4 mindset and peak performance tips that I've learned in my journey along the way. Make sure you listen until the very end because we're going to work our way down from the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and the absolute number 1 thing you need to do if you want to take your game to that next level. Hey guys, welcome to our episode where I'm flying solo without a guest this week because I wanted to give myself the stage to share my 4 top poker mindset and peak performance tips that I've learned along the way. So before we get into it, I want to thank you all for tuning in so far and sharing it with your friends and spreading the love. It's been absolutely amazing, the feedback I'm getting, and I'd love to keep this going so that we can all stay on top of the conversation and the awareness around our mental health and the way we apply ourselves in the game, so that everyone can do their best, but also not let poker consume you. Now, let's get straight into the mindset and peak performance tips. I'm going to start with number 4, which is the question about whether poker is a gambling or a skill-based game. How annoying is it when somebody asks you at like a dinner party or something, how much of it is skill or how much of it is luck? And it's like, it's a tricky one to answer because there's no one blanket rule for this because everyone's at a different skill level and everyone approaches the game at a different in a different way. I mean, when I first started playing poker, I was 100% gambling. I had no idea what I was doing, and so it's really important to take that on board so that we can understand. Even if you've been playing poker for a long time, you really want to make sure that you're approaching each individual game at as a skill-based game. You know, like even today for me, after 13 years of playing, if I'm not in the right frame of mind or if I don't actually apply myself on the day, am I actually playing a skill-based game or am I gambling? Because yeah, a lot of it's autopilot for me because I've had so much experience, but you know, what if I let my emotions overpower what I'm doing? Am I gambling or am I playing a skill-based game? I think we are all susceptible, no matter what stage of your career you're at, of falling into the gambling aspect of the game. I mean, think about even bankroll management. Maybe you play a game that's like way outside your bankroll, which we're all probably guilty of. Are you gambling or are you playing a skill-based game? So the reason why this is one of my number 4 tip here is because we need to make sure that we are adopting that skill prepared mindset every time we play poker, because then it always becomes about skill and it never becomes about the gamble or the luck. But it is a practice, guys. It's something that you have to be putting into play every single day, week, game, hand. Like even if you zoom in on the actual tournament, when you're in the tournament, you need to make sure on every single hand, am I making a skill-based decision or am I making a gamble decision? And we all know those situations when they come up. Maybe you've got a flush draw and you know you're not getting the right price, but you're still thinking, oh, I should chase my draw. It's like, which part of that is gambling or which part of that is actually skill? So we really want to stay on top of that, guys, because we need to stay in that skill-based pool, okay? When you start getting into the gambling one and sort of flirting with the idea of that transition, then it becomes a very slippery slope, okay? So do what you need to do to make sure you stay in that skill set pool. Make sure you make yourself accountable, get yourself a coach, tell your friends, your support network what you're doing, do your research, watch your videos, do whatever it is you need to do to make yourself as much in that skill-based pool as the other one. So that's the number 4 tip. The number 3 tip is a story I want to share with you about when I was playing the Melbourne Champs back in 2010. Now, I was 20 years old and I'd been playing for about 2 years or so. Definitely didn't play when I was under 18. I was only playing for 2 years. And I managed to get to the final table of the Melbourne Championship. It was a $1,000 buy-in in obviously Crown. And I made the final table and, there was some other very tough players in the field. And I had Jamie Glazier and Jackie Glazier watching, and Jamie was helping with some mindset stuff for me, which was one of my inspirations to do what I'm doing today. Now, the whole theme of that final table, I kept hearing from Jamie and Jackie, it was like reset, reset. So the tip here that I want to share with you is that concept and that idea of finding that reset button in your mind, okay? Because every time on that final table, I found myself either winning hands or losing hands, I still heard this reset being shouted out. And so what it helped me do was, no matter whether you make a good decision, a bad decision, or maybe you get lucky, or maybe you get unlucky, if you just find a way to reset your mind, reset everything in your framework, and you can start again, then on each individual hand and each individual decision, you'll be able to make the best decision possible. Now, the hack here is, how do we do that? Because saying it outside the game is one thing, okay? Like, yes, I should reset. Okay, yeah, cool. But what about how we're going to put it into play? We need to develop some sort of hardened habit to make you do that. Now, one of the things Jamie used to recommend was a rubber band, and you slap the rubber band and it gives you a nice shock, and then it's going to shock your system. You could do that. I recommend to my poker players that they take a sip of water every time you're on the button. So you go, that's basically around about every 20 to 30 minutes, you're going to take a sip of water. Now, if you integrate that now and you keep doing that every single time you play, you have to consciously apply yourself, it'll start becoming a habit. And so what that means is that you'll do it subconsciously you'll do it subconsciously, basically. So every time the button's there, you'll see the button, and it's like the Pavlov dog thing. Every time they hear the bell, the dog starts salivating. So you see the button and you think, oh, water. And then now you're actually doing two amazing things, because you're constantly hydrating yourself, which is never going to be a bad thing. And you're resetting your mind to think, okay, let's leave everything that happened in that last orbit behind, and let's reset and let's move forward, and then take each new hand and try and think with a fresh mind. All right, so that's number 3, to reset as much as possible to keep a clear and focused mind. Moving on to number 2. This one I like to call expression. Now, us as human beings, what I've discovered in my experience and also my studies as a counselor and coach is that we are expressive creatures. We like to do things to share ourselves with other people, whether it be through music or art or talking, sociability, like social contact, all those things, right? We need to express ourselves so that we can feel like other people hear us and understand us. And so then we get to be known in our sense of consciousness in the world, because the world is a very tough and tricky place. And if you don't feel like anyone understands you, then you're likely to develop very dark and depressive and very horrible existential thoughts about what life could be. So how do we bring this into poker? Well, when you have experiences in poker, whether they be good, neutral, or bad, it's good to express them in some sense so that we can externalize what's going on. So one of the things that I've learned in counseling is that when you work with a client, it's really important sometimes to help the clients externalize their experience to actually have more empathy and understanding for themselves. It's like a question I would ask someone in one of my sessions is, if you were me, what would you ask yourself during this? And it forces my client to step outside themselves and look at themselves as another being. And then that changes your perception, and it helps you take away the emotion, and it helps you rationalize more. So in poker, what that's going to do for you is it's going to help you think more rationally and less emotionally. So what I would recommend you do is find ways of expressing yourself through whether it's talking to people and whether it's writing things down with a notepad or recording yourself talking. That's one of the key things I like to do. And I'm going to share with you a treat today, because I'm going to pull up one of my recordings of when I was in the Venetian about 4 years ago. I was playing a tournament. There's about 100 players left, and I wanted to share with you exactly what I might say in one of my expression techniques with my recordings. So let me play this for you. Brendon, it is time to get some focus and get some just concentration. Okay, this is a really big spot, 105 players left, 550K for first US. This means a lot to me. So I'm just going to focus, play one hand at a time. Still 3 more 75-minute levels to go tonight. So we're going to be finished in a long time. So just remain calm, remain composure, remember what this is all about and what this means for me. Everyone's splashing about and playing pretty fearlessly and carelessly. So if I just play a little bit more on the conservative side pre-flop, I should be able to get lots of value. So tight, aggressive is the strategy at this point, especially with my table. I'm really, really happy and grateful to be in this situation, considering everything and just, life in general. Everything I've done up until now is ready to be put into place for now. So yeah, I just played really, really hard and really, really well this whole series, and I have 140k now. Average is about 120. Was up a little bit, and I feel a little bit bad that I dropped down, but that's okay because there's a lot more room to go, a lot more play to happen, and I have the skill, I have the patience, and I will crush this. 40 more to go until we're in the money, and 62 more to go until I've won. So let's just maintain focus, maintain positivity and gratitude. I'm very grateful to be here. Okay, so you can see there that there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in my message. I've taken advantage of the 10-minute break where I'm walking around, stretching my legs. You can probably hear casino things going on at the Venetian there. I was able to explore my situation from a point of gratitude. So I'm taking a moment to be happy and thankful for the fact that I have the opportunity at all. And we lose that in poker a lot. It's very easy to lose concepts of, to lose perspective of the fact that we're in this situation where we are in the 1% to be able to play a poker tournament for opportunities and for even just for entertainment. So that's a really key point that I think will really help everyone to adopt the gratitude in itself in your expressive technique, whether you're writing it down, talking about it, or recording yourself talking. Now, another thing is I'm exploring all the points of, information about my situation. So how many players are left, what my table dynamics are like. I mean, I mentioned in there that I'm going to play tight aggressive. That's not always the case because I've based that on who I'm up against and I know my table because it's a break and I get to go back to the same table. So it's really helping me to map everything out and really recalibrate and almost use the first tip I told you about here, which is to reset and refresh my mind on what my objective is, what I'm going to do. I talked about my stack size. I talked about all sorts of different things about my situation so that I can get it off my chest and hear it out. I hear it again and it circulates. And then we learn more about what we're doing and what we're up against. So I can come back now with a resetted, a mind that is reset and also a fresh perspective fueled by the gratitude. So that just makes you feel less fear, less anxiety, because you know what, at the end of the day, I'm still here 4 years later and I've completely forgotten about what happened in that Venetian tournament. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what happens in the long term if you think about the big scheme of things, right? Of course, if you win 500K, that's going to change things, but you know what I mean? We tend to, just from outside of poker, if we're thinking about just life, we tend to over exaggerate the moment and we feel this anxiety and all sorts of fear and depressive feelings in moments. But then when you reflect back, you don't really remember that. You don't remember why, or you might even reflect on a bad experience or an anxiety-provoking experience and think, man, it really wasn't that big of a deal anyway. It's stressful when you're playing poker when people are 3-betting you and triple barreling into you, and it is stressful. But at the end of the day, it's not going to kill you. So, but our bodies can be convinced. You're in a state of competitiveness. Your bodies get tricked here. The mind-body dissonance is really, really tricky. So I'm going to move on now to my absolute number one tip that I'm going to give you, which comes off that, which is to approach this game with a visualization technique, which is a meditative technique that we're going to do before we get into our games. So what this is going to do is it's going to help you practice your breathing. It's going to help you practice projecting your mind into the future so that you can predict things that are going to happen. You can also prepare your mind for the things you know to come up in your tournaments. I'm talking about all your senses here. What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you taste? What do you feel? When we go through all those things and we predict what we've seen before, which is, I can see the cards, the dealer, the chips ruffling. I can hear it. I can hear poker machines in the background. When we go through all of that, what we're doing is we're rehearsing. And almost every sport or artist rehearses before they go on stage or before they perform, because they're able to put themselves in that scenario and practice what it's going to look like. We can do that. We have a powerful mind to do that. There's no other animal on this earth that can project into the future or the past, as far as I know. If you know, let me know. So we need to use that to our advantage. So what I'm recommending here is that you listen to a visualization meditation for 10 to maybe 15 minutes before you play. And I want you to find a really good quality one, which I'm about to do some of my own ones for you guys. So next week, stay tuned, because I'm going to release a visualization meditation, which is going to help you absolutely free. I can make personalized ones for $50 if you like, but this one I'm going to give to you guys for free next week, so that you can start using it now and experience what it's like to sit there, go through your meditation, focus on your breathing. And once you're in that meditative state, you're going to then map out all your challenges in your tournament, and you're going to rehearse it, because then when you get there, you're going to have an extra 10, 15, maybe even 20% bandwidth for your mind to be able to process all those other things that are constantly changing. I mean, take someone's emotions. Like when you are playing poker and you're trying to read their face and their body movements, you can't predict that when you're meditating. You can't predict those things that are going to constantly be changing, but you can predict the sounds you might hear of the ruffling chips, or the feeling of cards and all those other senses that we don't need to be trying to process. We can already predict that. So why not do it? I honestly think that this is the number one thing that everyone should be doing if you really want to win at tournaments. If you really want to consistently have a higher edge than those other guys who are just going in there with like pure educational stuff with what they're learning with the game, this is that next level that's going to help you put that into play. Because if you learn how to, let's say you go studying with the solvers or training websites, you need to be able to put that into play. When you play poker, we are playing a performance sport. When you play that tournament, you are competing. You don't go there and just chill and think you're just going to do well. It won't work long term. You need to think with that killer mindset, that beast mindset, and go in there and just perform your best. So why wouldn't you want to visualize and meditate over that? So guys, that's the number one tip. And I hope you enjoyed all 4 of our tips here today. I say our, but I really mean mine. These are things I've learned along the way, but they're also things I've experienced. And I really, really know the difference of when you do them and when you don't, and how bad or good that can be. And so now it's my treat to you to share that with you after all my experience, because, well, I just want everyone to have the best opportunity that they can so that you can make the most of your game. So I hope you enjoy it, guys, and I look forward to seeing you next week, where we'll bring on another guest on the Australian Poker Mindset. Enjoy and good luck out there.